Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the relatively common electric-type Pokemon Pawmi, and its relatively uncommon electric flying-type evolution Pawmo, the two collectively known as the Mouse Pokémon, and its rare final evolution Pawmot, the Hands-On Pokémon. While they might come off as too cute to be of much concern to most, the members of the Pawmi family are still potent creatures that can make terrific use of their electrical powers to revitalize all that need a quick recharge.
Pawmi have small quadrupedal bodies with dark orange fur covering most of their form, with beige-colored fur around their three-fingered front limbs and tail. They have yellow cheek markings on their face as well as ears with aquamarine-colored interiors, a beige mouth area, a large orange head crest on the top of their head, and round purplish-pink eyes. The evolved form Pawmo have the same basic body form as Pawmi, but their fur is a lighter orange color and they have 5 fingers on their front limbs, which also have a yellow circle in their palms. They tend to be more bipedal in nature, which in turn helps them to use their front arms more offensively in battle. Their final evolution, Pawmot, have dark orange fur like Pawmi and look almost identical to Pawmo, the major difference being the larger overall frame and having both longer limbs and a ruffle of fur around their neck. The members of the Pawmi family are fairly basic as electric types go in terms of their overall powers, but they are unique in that their electricity discharging organs are mainly focused in their hands above all other places, and this changes the way they move and react to others when put into a combat situation. These beasts mainly rely on physical attacks for the bulk of their strongest offenses, and thus tend to be more specialized for these sorts of attacks, but their capacity to generate and power these attacks is a bit of a tricky factor, as they typically don't get access to any useful electric type attacks for a while, having to rely on moves like Nuzzle and Thundershock for their best offense they can muster until that point. This doesn't seem to hurt them much in the long run, but it can make them a bit hard to work with at a young age. Even so, as they grow and develop, they become capable of wielding these sorts of attacks to an effective degree, and the fact that they use their arms to primarily deliver their attacks while standing on their hind legs gives them an edge in that it provides them a bit of distance between themselves and opponents to work with, allowing them to be more creative with their attacks and tackle a larger variety of foes than they might otherwise be able to make direct contact with. This also feeds into their possible abilities, as while they start out with being able to possess static as a base ability as Pawmi, their capacity to use and absorb electricity only increases as they evolve, replacing with Volt Absorb as they evolve. Aside from this, they are naturally inclined to be able to use their electrical powers for healing properties, giving all members of the family access to natural cure as another possible base ability, while those that are gifted in being able to make better offensive use of their arms to attack in battle can also have Iron Fist as a hidden ability. In terms of combat abilities, in the case of Pawmot, while it can be said that they have plenty of personality and power to them to share, these creatures still fall short of being genuine threats in many ways, with most of their base stats being below average for fully evolved electric and fighting type Pokemon. They are not without their merits though, as they do have an above average base attack stat for a fully evolved electric type Pokemon, and an above average base speed stat for a fully evolved electric and fighting type Pokemon, so they can still pack a bit of a punch with plenty of agility to boot. At a young age, Pawmi use sacs in their cheeks to generate electricity, but they are relatively underdeveloped and can't sustain an electrical current for very long. To correct this, these creatures use their paws to rub their cheeks to stimulate these sacs and get them fully charged. However, because this act uses the same structures they use to release that stored electricity in the first place, it means they use some of their own power to stimulate their bodies, thus straining their power and weakening the overall offenses to a great degree. Even if this serves to hold Pawmi back from being an offensive threat in most situations, and the limited defenses make them hard to work with, it also makes them much safer for young children to play with them. Since they need to actively stimulate themselves to generate electricity, they can be petted and hugged without any fear of them accidentally discharging their power, giving them an edge in places like the Paldea region as pets over all the small electric types like Pichu. However, this power will become much more tenable once they manage to evolve, and these beasts thankfully evolve relatively quickly, helping to give trainers full access to their powers with just a bit of work and battle experience.
When Pawmi managed to evolve into Pawmo, their anatomy changes a bit as they become more capable of bipedalism than ever before, and this makes it possible for them to use the physical attacks with much more ferocity and gusto than ever before.
While it might take them a bit after evolution to get access to a spark attack for offense, their specialized attacks that involve the use of their arms to deal damage become much more tenable in their state, and they are so effective in using their arms for offense that they gain access to an arm thrust attack immediately after evolving, and essentially become partial fighting types in evolution. Furthermore, when they do get access to a spark attack, they deliver it in a very unique way, leaping straight into battle before any of their other teammates and using their arms to deliver powerful electrical arm thrusts to inflict damage repeatedly. This can make their attacks much harder to dodge and handle in a lot of cases, and thus makes them more of a potent offensive force than their pre-evolved form. This can also give them an edge as they can use this attack technique to close the distance between themselves and an opponent much faster, And while this might only increase the range to the length of their arms, their lanky limbs still make this a critical advantage that can turn the tide in battle in the right situations.
While Pawmo are normally unable to evolve under normal conditions in the wild, or even under the care of trainers, if they're allowed to walk alongside someone they share a close bond with for about 1,000 steps, it can stimulate their hearts and minds and allow them to harness that power to evolve further into their true adult form, Pawmot.
In this state, these creatures become much stronger combatants as a whole in both their base stats and their moves, as they're not only able to learn a wild charge attack with a little artificial help right away, but can also get access to the close combat and double shock attacks, the latter of which is totally unique to them and deals a staggering amount of damage from electric-type physical attack, at the cost of their electric-type powers for a noble length of time. Moreover, these beasts seem to have a mystical quality to them that allows them to harness their electrical powers in their hands to jolt others that might be unconscious to heal their wounds in battle once they have been knocked out. This mystical stimulation allowing them to learn the rare revival blessing technique as soon as they evolve. As far as their combat capabilities go though, Pawmot are able to use both their cheeks and their own fur to store electricity for use in battle, the same amount as a typical electric car, and this battery-like quality further means they can readily recharge themselves in battle with little effort. While they might be a bit slow to react to some actions in battle as a result of their occasional lackadaisical nature, they are quick to react when it comes time to attack, lashing out with lightning-fast movements that can leave most opponents dazed and uncertain of what just hit them. This in turn makes these beasts quite potent for their small size, and a noble threat to be concerned with if they can't be completely overpowered in battle.
While they certainly may not win any awards for being among the most intimidating of fighters, the members of the Pawmi family are still great and easy Pokemon to have around that people of all ages can safely play around with. Pawmi have to be among the cutest of little critters to play with and can make for great pets if you need something for a small child. The electrical discharges they can unleash are relatively poor, and while that might hold them back to some degree, it's likely for the best as household pets. Pawmo take things up a notch and are actually able to make good use of their bodies to fight with, which helps to make them far more useful for the average trainer. Access to a rare move like Arm Thrust also helps in that regard, since fighting types of the caliber usually take a bit to learn such skilled fighting type moves. And of course, Pawmot, while not being that much different from Pawmo in appearance, are able to make great use of their lanky limbs to deliver some serious beatdowns in close quarters. Having that little bit of extra space between them and their opponent really helps in clutch situations, and that double shock attack can really make them a noble threat to deal with up close as well, even if it might rob them of the electric type assignment for a bit in battle as a consequence.
Most trainers might not think too much of them at first, but there is no denying that members of the Pawmi family are fun little beasties to play around with and can make for great companions if you're just starting out as a trainer. You might have to go through some unorthodox methods to get them to a fully evolved state, but the work can be more than worth it for the extra bit of power it lends them in practice.
Just do yourself a favor and be prepared for a bit of a shock if you fall ill or unconscious. They might be able to revive those that have been knocked out or otherwise passed out, but the shocking nature of that revival might give you a bit of a charge for a while if you can't get the static out of your system.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.